I was actually looking at pictures over the weekend of your TED Talk. It was just such an honor to be there.
Oh, it was an incredible experience.
Yeah, it really was. And I do want to recognize, and I'm sure our listeners recognize, that was a very challenging time in your life. And a lot has happened since then.
Yes.
So I thought it would be fun to just come on and share what you've learned after that TED Talk, how you're experiencing life and how you might be showing up at Tap the Potential differently.
Yeah. So I love the privilege here to be able to share some of these reflections because it has been an intense year. I can't believe I did that TEDx talk. Like, how on earth did I pull that off? And the only thing that I really was focused on is that it was a goal, because the message of work supports life and the importance of us being emotionally present with those who matter most to us. That is a message that is my purpose in life, to be out there sharing. And just so for some context, my husband, Ned, passed away suddenly and unexpectedly in June of 2024. And it was a few weeks after we learned that I had landed this TED Talk. And of course, there was a lot of excitement and celebration. And then when you land a TEDx talk, you have to practice, you have to prepare. It has to be memorized. And really every word, every beat, everything has to be memorized, but it has to be delivered as if it's not memorized. And I was in the depths of grief. And grief is very much a fight or flight experience. And everything that I've learned about grief, I will not write a book on grief. I'm not going there, but I could write many books on what I've learned about grief and losing a spouse, because Ned was my soulmate, my partner in life. We worked from home together. So every aspect of my life was intertwined with Ned. And physiologically, the experience of loss, like our whole brain has to rewire itself. Our brain goes searching for our loved one. And I think the experience that many listeners can relate to is losing a pet. And when you go downstairs and you're going to make your breakfast and your pet's not there, your cat or your dog, and all the cute little things that they do and the mannerisms and all the ways that you interact with your pet throughout the day is gone. And that's just a tiny sliver of losing a spouse, because your spouse is everything. You handle life together. And so what I really came to understand is, because my talk is about work supports life, and the greatest gift we can give another human being is being emotionally present. If I allowed my grief to prevent me from delivering that talk, there were people who needed to hear that message who wouldn't hear it. And that, that goes against my core values. Be a gift from my gifts is one of my core values. I believe that I was given that opportunity to be on that TED stage to share that message, to impact others. And it would have been wrong of me not to do that, or to pass, because I just wasn't in a state. And it also gave me a way to honor Ned, because I share some of our story in there. And so that part was very self-serving for me in my grief. So I will own that. Like, I just needed to talk about him and share what a wonderful human being he was with the rest of the world. And what has happened since then has blown me away, because first off, this TED Talk is one of the most thought-provoking conversation starters out there for work teams, for spouses, for children and their parents. And that's what's blown me away is the comments that people have left underneath the TED Talk. One person just jumps out at me. She said she was listening to it on her phone next to her husband, who was in the same room, but they were both on their phones doing separate things. And she was halfway through the talk thinking, yeah, I got this. And then boom, she realized we're both on our phones in the same room, not at all connecting. Wow. And that's what this is about. We put technology in between us all the time, and we're not connecting with our loved ones, and being emotionally present is the greatest gift. And what I've Tap the Potential has been around now for 20 years. And I built Tap the Potential because I wanted to be able to be there for my daughters as I raised them. And the greatest gift that Tap the Potential has given me is the freedom, capital F, freedom, to enjoy life with Ned, the time that I had with him, and to live a regret-proof life. I have no regrets. I can look at everything that I did with Ned and our relationship and say, with a clean heart, I have no regrets about how we chose to spend our time, the experiences we chose to create for our family. There's no regrets there. And I don't know that many people can say that about when they've lost a loved one. And what I really hope that if you're listening to this today, that when you have someone in your life and they say, all I want is more time with you, that you hear that and you intentionally create opportunities for that time to happen and show up emotionally present. It's one thing to show up with your phone in your hand. It's a whole other thing to put the phone down and just be with another person. And the experience of being is what has been the most healing for me in this year. Those who have shown up and who know they don't have the words, there are no magic words to help someone who's grieving other than, I am here. I am with you. And that's not just grief. That is all of us. I saw a very vulnerable post on Facebook the other day from a young woman who said to a group of other women, I am alone, scared, and vulnerable. And then I read all the comments underneath it, and everyone was in problem solving. And her words just touched me. And I just felt like I need to just be there. Like we can't really be there over Facebook, right? But I just needed to be there and say, I hear you. I have felt that. I feel that. And how courageous of you to say that. We are all alone, scared, and vulnerable. That is the human condition. And when we can create a feeling of emotional safety for others, that you are safe with me, whatever feeling you're feeling, I can hold it with you. That is true connection. That's true relationship. And so in this year, one of the things I've treasured so much is hearing people's comments about what they've done after they've heard the TED Talk. One person bought their spouse a car for fun, a fun car, because that was something they were planning to do when their kids were out of the house, because it's not a family car. It was going to be when the kids are out of the house and when, we've established ourselves in our careers and, down the road. But the reality is none of us know how long we have. And because we woke up today, I'll be 53 in August. So I have almost 53 years of experience that I'm going to wake up the next morning that leads me to believe I will wake up tomorrow and the next day. And all of that is a false assumption. We all live in that false assumption, thinking we have more time. And so I'm finding myself striking the balance between, okay, I'm a widow and I got a kid going to college. I got an 11-year-old and I got to plan for the future because I don't have somebody who's going to take care of me in my older age. And I also know that I may not, if I wait till I retire, in quotes, to go travel and do fun things, I may not be physically able to. I may die before then, right? And so this whole notion of freedom in our businesses is so pivotal here, because I have freedom to say yes. If there's an event that I'm doing with my daughter on a Tuesday in September, she's going to miss a day of her college classes for this. I'm missing work. And we're going to figure it out, and we're going to make sure our clients at Tap the Potential are taken care of. Like that, there's responsibility and freedom, right? And so we can't just blow things off and say, forget work, forget our clients. We're going to go have fun because life's short. That's irresponsible. So there's freedom and responsibility, and that has to be juggled. And at the same time, I am being very intentional to live my yes life so that I have no regrets when I die. I want no regrets with my children. I'm like, my daughter is home right now. We've got a few more weeks till she goes off to college. She shows up in the kitchen in the middle of the day, and I'm working at the kitchen table because I like the view outside our kitchen window, and she wants to talk. And I find myself I'm like, I've got to finish this thing. And then I realize, whoa, what would Ned do? Ned always stopped and listened to the kids and me. Anytime we wandered into his office, it didn't matter what was going on. It didn't matter if he had a meeting coming up. He was going to listen and be there and be present. And that's one of the biggest lessons that I've taken from Ned, is that ability to be emotionally present with someone and to sit and listen quietly. And I think a lot of people who know me as a coach, and especially those who've done one-to-one coaching with me, have told me that, it's very healing to be in my presence because I'm a good listener, but they have no idea what a good listener really is. Like, Ned had me, he smoked me with listening skills. And so I am striving to be a better human being. I'm striving to be a better listener and better at being emotionally present because of Ned. And it's what I've heard people say about Ned since he passed. And obviously people closest to us, their words, I love hearing their words. And it's the ones, though, that we just knew casually, who blow me away when they say, yeah, I'd show up and do this thing at your house for you guys that you hired me to do. And Ned would come out and he'd talk to me. He wanted to know all about my life, my family, all the things I love doing. And he listened. And that is what we have as human beings. That's our legacy. It's not how much money we make. It's not how big we grow our businesses. It's not even how profitable our businesses are. It's, hey, he listened. And so I love this TED Talk because of the conversations it starts and the awareness that it starts. So when husbands and wives are sharing it with one another, and there's a powerful question. I'm going to just, I don't want to spoil it. There's a very powerful question that I share that I asked Ned on our last anniversary dinner together that totally changed how we spend time together. Mm-hmm. And I'm so glad I asked that question, because had I not asked that question, I do believe I would have had regrets. And so, and it's a question that I think every husband and wife, anybody in a committed relationship should be asking the other person and discussing it and holding awareness of the other person's answer. And that's the thing, is I almost dismissed Ned's answer. Mm-hmm. So I thought, this doesn't make sense. Like, what is he like? We do this already. And it was when I asked the follow-up of tell me more, which is what we teach in Leadership Boot Camp and Coach Approach at Tap the Potential, is how to ask those powerful questions and how to listen and ask the follow-up questions that really get at what matters most to the people that we care about the most.
Wow. I'm just blown away. I'm so in awe of you. It was so important. Caitlin and I drove to that TED Talk because we knew Ned would have been there.
Yeah.
No way we wouldn't be there. And your strength was just so profound. And you're right, the message, it was needed. And I want to share a bit about how it's impacted lives for our clients and in my own life personally. I want to circle back to one thing that you said, and the healing is in the being. And that is so important for us to just give ourselves permission to just be. We don't have to be productive all the time. A couple years ago, I lost my baby brother when he was 36, very suddenly as well. And then just a few short months after that, both of my best friends. And it was soul crushing.
Yeah.
And one thing that I learned from that was always tell people how you feel about them. And I was so fortunate that I had done that. And then I think back after I heard your TED Talk, I thought back to all the times my brother and I would just sit around and be on our phones. We were together, but we weren't fully present. And we really could have done a much better job at that. So that's something that we practice. We actually made the entire Sunday last weekend a no screen day. And wow. It just the way that we had family time with my stepson, it was just a massive difference. So I so appreciate that message, Dr. Sabrina, because it is imperative that we do that. And when we're in burnout, escaping to our screens is just a way to get that dopamine hit and not deal, but we can avoid things and not deal with them. And we feel like we're giving ourselves some downtime, but really it's having the opposite effect.
Yeah, it doesn't recharge us the way that connecting recharges us. And I as you shared about driving to be there for my TED Talk, you and Caitlin, my daughters were there as well. And to me, that was the greatest gift. It was your emotional presence. You were there. And one of our clients made the trip and was there. And I was so touched by that. And I think about my good friend, colleague, Donna Lyons, who's been on the Profit by Design podcast. She's been a good friend of mine for many, many years now. And she just said, what do you need? I can be on a plane. And I didn't even think I need Donna. It wasn't in my head. But I heard her offer, and I said, that's what I need.
Mm-hmm.
I need you here. And one of the things that was so touching is when we were at the service, she was behind me. And there was a point where I remember she just reached over and put her hand on my shoulder and on my back. And it settled me, like just grounded. And that part of our physiology absolutely fascinates me. Widows miss touch, holding, cuddling. And there was a post in one of the widow support groups that I'm in, and someone said, how do you deal with this lack of touch? And everybody was like, wow, that is the $10 million question. Like, so somebody can solve that. And I have all kinds of ways of solving that for myself. I get massages every other week. I hug my kids, long hugs, and I'm the last to let go, and I'm intentionally the last to let go. Our good friend Steve Bousquet knows a lot about hugging. I think he was working on a book at one point about the impact of hugs on us and how that settles us. I have pets. I have a dog that we've taught to give hugs. And those are some ways that, just physiologically how we settle down in the presence of others who are also emotionally regulated. And this is the key when you're talking, Melissa, about Sundays with no screens. Everyone emotionally regulates and comes down when they are not having those dopamine hits from the screen. And then being together feels more healing.
Yes.
It does no good to be together with people who are pinging off of each other stressfully. Like that just escalates. And so I believe every one of us has a personal responsibility to show up at our best for those who matter most to us. And I talk about this in the TED Talk, that every single day I make efforts to make sure when I'm showing up here to have this conversation, I wanted to be at my best. I did a sleep study last night, and anybody who's ever done a sleep study knows you don't sleep good during a sleep study. So I didn't sleep good last night. I had some stressful stuff happen this morning before we were recording this. And I also had 45 minutes to get ready. And so I thought I'm going to use 15 minutes of those 45 minutes to get ready to do some yoga so that I can bring down the volume of whatever's going on stress-wise with me, so I can show up and be here and be present with you, Melissa, and with those who are listening to this. Because when you're listening to the Profit by Design podcast, you are giving us your most precious investment, which is your time, because you can't get time back.
Yes. Yes. One thing that's coming up for me is that we show up for one another on our team like this. So we have weekly team huddles, we have leadership calls, we have one-to-one meetings, we have quarterly team meetings, we have one this afternoon. And every time we're together, we are fully present with one another. And I think it is the biggest part of our company culture that I love. And I think we all do. And we truly feel like family. And we're checking in on each other. We're fully present listening. When we're on calls in meetings, even though we're all virtual, we're not off doing other things and tasks. And we're just there. And we listen. And, we show up the way we are. There's no hustle culture expectation, or we recognize if things are going on to be supportive for one another because we want to be. And I just can't even thank you for the legacy that you have created with Tap the Potential and the team, it changes everything. It changes your whole life when you have a job that you love to go to and that lights you up and that's life-giving. And I think that what we teach in Leadership Boot Camp is directly supporting that. Before I get into Leadership Boot Camp, I do want to share with you, one of our clients is right now on a fully unplugged vacation for the first time in 5 years.
Wow.
And they're getting to see their daughter graduate. And that's why I come to work every day.
Yeah.
That's why we do what we do. So listen to the podcast and we talk about systems and we talk about leadership and all of the things. Just know at the core, that's why we're here to serve you. It's so that you can spend time with your family, because you don't know. You never know. So I think that's important to share. We will see you next